Last night, Joe Biden and Donald Trump faced off in their first presidential debate of the 2024 campaign. Largely described as a difficult night for Biden, the president stumbled through exchanges in a performance that has raised concerns about his age and stoked Democratic worries about their candidate's ability to defeat Trump in the November election. Meanwhile, here in Canada, the Trudeau government had a difficult week as well. The Liberal Party suffered a substantial blow after losing a key by-election in Toronto. That loss raising pressure on the Prime Minister to possibly step aside before the next federal election as polling data continues to skew conservative. Veteran pollster Nik Nanos joins us after a very busy political week. Nik, it is great to see you.
Good to see you too, John.
First of all, where do you weigh in on this presidential debate last night?
Joe Biden on the ropes. You know, I watched the debate last night, and it was pretty clear that at a number of points he was struggling, and you know, I think the reality is not everybody ages the same way, and I think if you're a Democratic supporter or someone that doesn't like Donald Trump, it was probably very painful to watch, because you know, Trump was his usual self in terms of his performance. But why don't we say Trump didn't win the debate, but Biden probably lost the debate is probably the best way to sum it up.
We were just talking to Jordan Fabian, who's the White House correspondent for Bloomberg, and there does seem to be some kind of scramble right now. And there is a large question in Washington this morning around whether or not the Dems have to make a ticket change. And I guess it would start with Biden himself being open to that. But as someone who has watched political landscapes for a long time, when that question bubbles to the surface, what happens? What directions could we go at this point?
Well, you know, the thing is that there has to be someone close to President Biden for this to happen. It's not going to result the Democratic caucus in the Senate or the House of Representatives. It has to be either his immediate family members, perhaps someone like Nancy Pelosi or Barack Obama for that change to happen, and to talk to him about potentially standing aside for the good of the party. You know, if this does happen, and for example, Joe Biden decides that he does not want to reoffer and releases his delegates, we still have, you know, because of the oddity of having a debate before the conventions, either one of the conventions have occurred, he could release his delegates, and there could be, hypothetically, a barn burner of a convention where delegates are free to vote for whoever they want to vote for. And who knows, all bets are off in terms of who could potentially be the Democratic nominee.
Okay, well, we'll see how things play out in the weeks ahead. We mentioned it was a challenging week for the Trudeau government after that big by-election. Where does it leave the Prime Minister, in your opinion?
Man, John, he's in the political Shark Tank. I don't know if that's a new segment on BNN, but you know, St. Paul's has been in the Liberal column for the last 30 years. They came into this with a 24-point advantage. They lost it in the advanced polls because if you look at the numbers, it's pretty clear that the local Conservative campaign, you know, outmuscled the Liberals and delivered the win based on the advanced polls. And you know, for Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, there couldn't be anything worse happened to them losing a riding like this, especially considering the number of high-profile Liberals that went into canvass. Like, it was all hands on deck for the Liberals, but also all hands on deck for the Conservatives. And although the Conservatives were seen as being competitive, there are very few that thought that the Conservatives would pull this off, but they won.
So I guess if we're going to be weighing in on what's happening in another country and asking whether the leader of the free world should be stepping aside, there has been a conversation around the Prime Minister at some point doing something similar. What's the buzz right now around that?
Well, we've had former Liberal cabinet ministers like Catherine McKenna and John Manley come out publicly to say that Justin Trudeau should step down. So that's now on the public record. Also, caucus members, I think the Liberal caucus meeting was scheduled for the fall, like in September or thereabouts. The Liberal caucus, parliamentary caucus, has now asked for a meeting. And I think they want answers, and they want to, I don't know what they're going to do, lay it on the line in terms of what they think the best path forward is for the Liberal Party of Canada. Because, John, when we crunch our numbers and our modeling right now, if Justin Trudeau was the leader of the Liberals and an election were held today, we would be looking at a victory similar to Brian Mulroney's for Pierre Poilievre in 1984, because St. Paul's used to be Barbara McDougall's riding, for those of your viewers who are from that area. And, the Don Valleys are in play, the Etobicoke are in play. And, in Toronto, when those ridings are in play, that's usually very good news for the Conservatives nationally.
Nick, I just want to tie together the stories playing out in both Canada and the United States, because if technically we could have an election here at any point, there was always that idea that maybe the Prime Minister would want to indirectly face off against Donald Trump. But interestingly, after last night, and given where he is right now, how do you think this Liberal government is going to be thinking about the election cycle in the U.S. and at what point they feel that maybe us having a federal election in this country makes sense?
I don't know, because it's incumbents on the ropes. The U.S. economy is doing well, but people are still grumpy about the economy. Canadians are also grumpy about the economy and anxious about where jobs are going to come from. And maybe the key takeaway here is that, whether you're in the United States or in Canada, you're worried about paying for the groceries, you're worried about paying for housing, and you're wondering where prosperity is going to come from. And as a result, you're looking at incumbent governments quite negatively.